First thing you gotta do, deadheading. When you deadhead flowers, you are encouraging the plant to continue to flower for you, or in some cases, like with daylilies that only flower one day, you might be deadheading to just make the plant look neater. These are Coreopsis. Coreopsis is this variety, blooms a lot, and if I deadhead, I'm doing it more for it to look neater. So how do you deadhead? You find the flower that's finished. Usually there's a little seed head on it. I suggest you follow that stalk down to where it meets maybe other flowers and take that off. To me, that is a cleaner look when you take off the flower head. I have seen people cut off the flower head and leave the stalk. I don't like that look. So find the flower, go down the stalk, the stem, and cut it out. And some of you might be like, oh, I don't know, is that a flower to coming on or is that a finished flower? That's the finished flower, and here is the flower, the next flower coming. Can you see the difference? Staking. Stand up straight, as your mother would say. Get your stakes in the ground early. Even if the little plants are low and they're gonna grow up to this height and the stake's already sitting there waiting, at least you've done it so that it'll stand up straight. It's nice to have stakes of different lengths, because if you've got something tall like this Coreopsis here, you want a stake that might, see there's one in here? You didn't even know it, did you? You can use bamboo stakes and use some string or tape to support it. This stake is great because the arms adjust so it can wrap around the plant. I think I'll use this one because it's a skinnier stake. Now, this Coreopsis will sit here, but do you see what I'm saying about it's growing kind of that way because it's been growing like that? I know you don't want to hear this, but it's helpful to weed your garden in the summertime. If you allow the weeds to flower and set their seed, you can have millions, thousands, millions. One of the tools I love to use when we have a lot of weeding to do in big spaces is using my D-ring. Does that look like a D to you so you'll remember? You can take the D-ring in this direction. You can pull and cut off the weed, and you can also push and it'll cut the weed. And the key is you want to push down into the bed to cut that weed, and it cuts it off at the root. Another trick with helpful weeding, you water the garden the day before. When the garden soil is moist, it's so much easier to get weeds out. When you got to get down on your hands and knees to weed, nothing like a digger. I like this digger because of its pointed end. It's very solid. Some people call it a Hori, H-O-R-E-I, Hori knife. And I can get underneath these weeds and leave the soil as much as I can. Good old clover, other things, chickweed. Every season there are different weeds. Have you noticed that in your garden? I know it's in mine. This is Nephida, N-E-P-E-T-A, or catmint. It blooms late spring, early summer, usually in mid-June for us in Michigan. This is a plant I love. The bees love it, but I like to deadhead it or give it a hard prune and a haircut. You see how it's kind of opening up? See, you can kind of see the middle of the plant. Well, one way to work around when a plant sprawls open, if it's in enough sun, is to give it a haircut. And this time of year, right before we get into the middle of summer, it will flush back out and it will bloom again. But like I said, the bees are loving these flowers and it just breaks my heart to cut it, so I might not cut all of them. Just cut this one, leave the other one.